I'm going to go first is, okay, what's the current state of the district and how did we get there? The future of the Lemont School District is contingent upon a couple things. Number one, as you know, February 2nd, we're going to vote on a referendum. If that referendum passes, that will provide funding to eliminate and alleviate some of the financial stress that's currently on the district. Currently, we're at about a $2.1 million deficit for the current year. It'll probably escalate a little bit in the upcoming years, and so therefore the need for the referendum. Usually, when you talk about cuts, and everybody knows this is just basic business, payroll. You know, it's people. It's teachers. Payroll and expenses and benefits. So out of the 70 positions that would be cut, approximately half of them would be teachers and staff members. So 20 teachers and approximately 14 special program staff. So out of that initial cut of 70, about half of that would be directly affecting a classroom. Had average class sizes, never. What will happen though, in addition to us already having elevated class sizes, here is the actual data. The average class size in the district will rise to 32 students per class. That's staggering. Our kids, they deserve better, very simply. In K through 2, it'll go to 28s. 3 through 5 will go to 33. And 6 through 8 will go to 35 kids per class. So that's where we're at. But, and along those lines, it's not like the school district hasn't made cuts. They have made cuts. They've, the past couple of years, they've continued to trim. Actually, this past year, through coordination of administration, the teachers, and the board, they renegotiated their benefits package to a savings of $300,000 a year. And that was through the coordination of the teachers union and the teachers, administration, and the board. In August of 2010, this is really simplistic math. If you look at our average revenue per pupil, it's $8,570. It costs us, the school district, to educate a child $9,125. Okay, that's $555. Multiply that by 2,600 kids. When those doors open, August 2010, the school starts with a $1.2 million deficit before anybody even gets in the building. The schools that are really tight in terms of revenue per pupil and cost per pupil. On the next fold, Hinsdale, which we mentioned, is one of those school districts that does a lot of deficit spending. If you look at them, it's almost identical. Their cost per student is about $13,200, I believe, and their revenue, I think it's actually $13,300 to educate the child, and I think their costs are $13,200. So it's about a $100 difference. So you see the correlation. Yeah. I mean, if you do not have the funding and the revenue to educate the child, what do? You borrow, you deficit spend, you go to referendum, you try to generate revenue somehow. So that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize, that it's not because there was mismanagement of funds. There's not, $3 million in some kind of offshore account. There wasn't rampant mismanagement of funds. It's kind of like trying to, squeeze blood out of a turnip. There's not a lot of waste. There's not a lot of fat. There's not a lot of anything to cut. Even if you look at the audits by Nudie and Associates and by PMA, there's not a lot of excess waste. There's not. There really just is not. I said performance. So in terms of class sizes, so if you look at, for example, Pleasantdale 107, Woodridge, which is right down the street for us, they have an average class size of 21. Currently, our average class size is 26, and as we indicated earlier, if that's currently, if the referendum doesn't pass, it's going to go up to 32. But that ISAT score is pretty darn good when you're considering that, and for my educators that are in the room, I've heard that the optimal span of control for a teacher is about 18 to 24. Okay, so how do you like the idea of being in that classroom, especially with younger kids, when the optimal span of control for a teacher is probably about 18 to 24, and we're going to be having, in some cases in 6th, 7th, and 8th, 35 or 36 kids in that classroom. Are you going to catch everything? Are you going to catch that child that might have a really bad situation going on? Are you going to be cognizant enough to pick up on it? Or the child that maybe is just having a bad day with another student? Probably not. And that's the danger. Our kids deserve better. They really do. The other lowest school, which is Will County and Homer Glen, our average teacher's salary is less than $51,000. For example, Hinsdale, which we were talking about before as being one of our comparables, their average teacher's salary is almost $80,000. And if you look at their class size, they're not, they have a class size of 22. We're asking teachers that are, underpaid already to compete with, 32 to 36 students in that class. So when you look at it in totality, at the teacher's salary, the class sizes, the performance, the support of the community, we do really get a great educational value for our expenditure. The next column, and this has been a point of contention, and we really need to discuss this and clear this up. If you look at our average administrative salary, it's $104,000, which is the second lowest administrative salary average in the sample. Now, there's been varying things going about that our superintendent is making these astronomical amounts of money. He doesn't actually, if you look at the data and if you go on the websites, his actual salary is right in the arithmetic middle, like between the 25th and 50th percentile. So he's paid accordingly. He's paid what he should be paid at market value. He's in the 25th to 50th percentile, actually in the lower half, yes, but our district is in financial distress and we need the help of the community. Based upon teacher's salary, average class sizes, performance, administrative salaries, we get a great value for the money that we spend on education. The question to us as a community, how do we ensure that that continues? That's the question. I mean, what do we want for our kids today and what do we want for our kids and for our community tomorrow? And this came up before we even sat down, home values. I guarantee you it is going to negatively affect, there's no way that it can't, because the two things that people ask when they move someplace, location and schools. Okay, and then the next thing that they ask in terms of schools, class sizes. I'm sorry it's old-fashioned, I'm sorry it's just very simplistic, but I'm concerned about, yes, my child is going to be done with 8th grade in a few months. I'm concerned about what happens for the next 10 or 15 years and the kids that are coming up, because very, very selfishly, my kids were the beneficiaries of excellent education programs because they had the opportunity to participate in those due to decisions that were made over the past 7 years. So I want the same for the upcoming generations. I want them to be exposed to Scholastic Bowl and to extracurriculars in softball and baseball and volleyball. I want them to be in chess club. I want them to be in choir. I want them to be in the high quality bands that we have. A lot of learning takes place in the classroom, but a lot of other learning and the socialization of that child takes place before 7:45 and after 2:45. And so it would just kill me to think about extracurriculars being cut across the board. Not everybody in an educational system is an Einstein. Not everybody is that the child that just excels. I mean, kids find their way. They find their niche. Maybe they're a C student, but maybe they excel at theater, or athletics, or chess, or music, or choir. Or maybe just the fact that their outlet is yearbook club, or photography club, or foreign language. It doesn't matter. But we have to provide that avenue where the kids can explore what their strengths are. It's critical to their development, and we're not even talking.